Hi, everyone. Welcome to episode 48. Gerald Small, cornerback, 1980s, before your time. Today is the recap of the Dolphins' 28-3 victory against the Houston Texans at NRG Stadium in Houston. A very impressive performance that featured the preseason debut of Tua Tagovailoa and practically every starter who was available and healthy enough to play. Preseason game, yes, the Dolphins' dominance was pretty much, as the score would suggest, it was, to put it very politely, an ass whooping.
Yeah, quite impressive. I think the biggest thing that I took away from it was their ability to run the ball. And I saw this going back to the Falcons loss. And I know every Dolphin fan will look at that loss and say, oh, man, that thing was ugly. But the one gem that I took away from it was that they created some line surge. And I said, oh, I'm curious and interested to see if the starter's going to be able to get that done as well. Well, 205 rushing yards against the Houston Texans, 5.4 yards per carry. Yes, they had a 65-yard run from Salvon Ahmed, but even without that 65-yard run, I think they would have been a pretty dominant rushing performance. The holes were there. I was stunned to see guys 7, 8, 9 yards down the field, basically, launching themselves at guys. This is going to seemingly be a cut blocking team, and it's pretty to see. It's a beautiful thing. It keeps defenses sort of on their heels and makes them play tentatively. I've always admired this running style. It's good to see the Miami actually can try to replicate that.
Yeah, and I will get even more specific than you. To me, the biggest takeaway is, at least for the time being after today, can everybody please chill about the offensive line? And I'm talking about
chill.
I am talking about the first group. I'm not talking about the second group, which included a bunch of guys who will not be making the roster. I'm sorry, but beyond the rushing game, and you mentioned the stats, look at that first drive. The second drive that Tua had after this first interception. I'm sorry, but there was not a Houston defender anywhere near him anytime he threw the ball. Please tell me what you're making a face. Please tell me one play where he was under duress. Everything was like in plenty of time, including the third down completion to Tyreek Hill, where he's completely open. The throw to Braxton Berrios inside the 5-yard line, which, by the way, was clearly his best throw of his appearance. But the pass protection was like borderline flawless on that particular drive. And you keep making faces, and I have no idea, my friend, what the hell you were watching, because that offensive line performance for that drive was banging. And you're
okay. Hold on. Time out.
Go.
Name me the good rusher on the Houston Texans.
Will Anderson, number one, their rookie first-round pick. Jonathan Greenard. Excuse me. Did Will Anderson not have a sack? And he had a sack mindly. The only issue with the first-team offensive line was Connor Williams had 2 high shotgun snaps, one of which was on the first play of the second drive, which completely killed the timing of the handoff from Tua to Mostert, got tackled for a 5-yard loss. That wasn't on the line blocking. That was on the fact that the whole play was disrupted. And then on the sack of Skylar Thompson. No, sorry, it was Mike White, by Will Anderson when he bowled over Salvon Ahmed. Well, part of the problem was that Skylar was really close to Salvon Ahmed because he couldn't drop back quickly because he had to jump to get another high shotgun snap. Beyond that, and you can poo-poo on Will Anderson all you want. He was a 3rd overall pick. And then Jonathan Greenard last year, I believe, had, I want to say, neighborhood of 8 or 9 sacks.
What was Deion Jordan? 4th overall pick, right? I mean, let's calm down.
Really?
Let's calm down. Calm down.
Okay.
I'm not crowning the guy.
I thought you were going to be positive. Why are
my positive day starts tomorrow.
Okay, but even if it's you and me rushing the passer, that does not change the fact that the Dolphin first line on that 2-0 touchdown drive gave him great pass protection. You want to dismiss it because Houston doesn't have the pass rush that you want him to have? Go for it. It doesn't change the fact there was great pass protection and the run blocking also.
They do this against the Jets? Okay. Like, let's calm calm down. Like
No,
I'm not willing to say like we're all good. It's all great. It's all gravy. Like, okay, you could run block. I'm not sure you've shown me that you can pass block. I saw some leakage. I saw some leakage.
Where, okay, when was the leakage? When the second group was in there with Keon Smith, Jaron Christian, Alama Oluwabe.
I saw Isaiah Wynn give it up a little bit. I saw Isaiah
Okay, and
a
Isaiah
couple
Wynn
plays.
very well might be your 8th or your 9th offensive lineman. And Omar, I don't know what the hell you want, man. Just like
Isaiah Wynn is a starter. What are you talking about?
Isaiah, okay, this, thank you for bringing that up because we are going to point out something that among the players who did not play was Lester Cotton, who is very much in the battle for the starting left guard job. And Mike McDaniel indicated after the game that he's dealing with some sort of a minor injury. And he didn't want to put him out there if, to quote McDaniel, he wasn't able to put forth the best film possible, you know? So let's not pretend like Isaiah Wynn's your slam dunk starter at left guard. Okay.
He's not. And I didn't say he's earned the job. I didn't say he's earned the job, but he's at least 50-50 in the running to start that job.
Okay, no, and he had a couple of rough snaps after the other frontline guys left. I am completely bad, and this is where you're going to get knocked for being overly negative. At this point, I can't defend you, my friend. I'm usually on your side, but now,
all I'm saying is, I praised them. I began the whole thing saying, "Man, you guys look good as a running team, run line." We 2 weeks straight, we see it. This is the week with the starters. It's there. Holes are there. And I think they have the backs to get it done. I'm not ready to say, oh, no concern with the line whatsoever, because they're great at run blocking and pass blocking. No,
I'm not saying
down.
I'm not saying that we're ready to put them like in the Hall of Fame as an offensive line. I'm saying that based on what we saw today with the first group and Tua at quarterback, everybody who was like going like this, going crazy, oh my catastrophe, it's all over because the offensive line sucks. Chill a little bit, because the offensive line may not be the catastrophe that everybody wants to paint it out to be if Teron Armstead has to miss time. And again, this was without Teron Armstead.
I've never said that the offensive line is a train wreck. What I have said is I've got concerns at left guard. I am exiting this game with the exact same concerns I had at left guard. But what I am saying is that you can run block. That is probably the biggest question that I had coming into this offseason. Felt like it was the number one thing that you needed to do to absolutely ensure you improved if you wanted to improve the team. Now I can say my concern is alleviated. What I will not say is that this is a good offensive line, that they can run by, they can pass by. You know how I feel about Kendall Lamb. I'm good. Kendall Lamb is there. Okay. I'm not worried about it. And I think he did well. I got to review the film to see how he did on every snap, but I didn't see any issues. Austin Jackson, no issues. I've never said I had an issue with Austin Jackson.
Nobody had any issues today.
Robert Hunt, we know who he is. But, like, okay, I'm not going to poo-poo 205 rushing yards. You do that every week, you're probably a 12, 13-win team.
Of course, this is where I could be a smart ass and say, well, if you're going to poo-poo dump on Houston not having a pass rush, I believe they were among the worst teams in run defense last year. So to counter that, anyway, we're haggling for. Bottom line is the offensive line was good. That first team offense, obviously the first play is just a bad play by Tua. He said it himself. There's no defending it. He tried to force a play that wasn't there. And he was going for Tyler Kroft, like behind guys. I mean, the window is like this small, 15 yards down the field. I mean, unless you get a rocket launcher.
Probably tried to no look it. He probably tried to no look it like some of the, these anyway.
And it was an easy pick for your buddy, by the way. This is, I'm sure that part of it you kind of liked a little bit because it was Denzel Perryman who got the pick.
I love Denzel.
I know you do. And then the second series was just great play calling, receivers wide open, Tua getting him the ball. Couple of
that's where guys who are like, oh, the offense is sucking. Like, calm down. They're working through some things. They're figuring things out. I've never seen them when they needed to get moving. Like, this wasn't like the Chad Henne, Ryan Tannehill offense. How often do you see 3 and outs with this team? You don't see 3 and outs that often with this team. They can get it moving. Now the question is, can they execute in the red zone? They were 4 for 4 today, and props to them. A lot of that was on the ground, but they got the job done.
Yeah, and of course, again, a smart guy might say, well, the first drive wasn't a 3-and-out because it was a pick on the first play, but that's beside the point. Skylar Thompson, and I know this is where you're gonna throw at me like, so Poop, do you still think there's no competition for the quarterback? And I say, no, there's still no competition for the two quarterback.
I'm not going to throw that in your face.
Go for it.
Because
You're
here's
not
the
do
thing.
it now. You should not. You can't.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. No, I wrote in my 10 observations, which you can find on for training camp, but you can find on all Dolphins. I thought the battle was over. You can't watch the last 2 weeks and think that the battle is over. And then Mike McDaniel said, psych, fooled you. Skyler's playing as the number 2 quarterback today. You won't even see Mike White. Like, huh? Like, where does this come from? And to my recollection, Skyler didn't really practice this much this week, did he?
No, he had some turns on the second day of the joint practice with the Texans. And then McDaniel has said that after the preseason opener against Atlanta, that Skyler would get his turn to play with the guys that Mike White had played with in that game against Atlanta. And again, I don't know that he did anything extraordinary. The longest completion of the day by Dolphins quarterback was 22 yards. I mean, they were very good at taking what was there and executing the offense. They were very, very efficient. And then
I don't need big plays. I don't need chunk plays. I need efficiency. I need third down execution. I need red zone execution. I need completions and not turnovers or interceptions. Or Skyler had 128 quarterback rating. I'll take that from any quarterback. Named Skyler, Marv, Tua Tagovailoa. I'll take that every single day.
Obviously.
Yeah, I mean, it's about efficiency. It's about converting third downs. And I still think they're experimenting. I still think they're figuring it out. I mean, I saw too many passes to tight ends today for my personal liking, because your tight end unit is not that good.
But here's the thing, though. So now we're going to go from bitching about they have no contributors for the passing game at tight end to now they're throwing too many passes to the tight ends.
No. The point I was making is they're trying things out. They're experimenting. They're figuring things out. You think Mike McDaniel calls this many tight end plays in a real game that matters? I don't think so. Goes into this game and says, "Man, we really got no clarity on any of this tight end situation. Let's dust off these 10 tight end plays and see what we got. See what's salvageable here." You're like, no. Like, so game one, they go into it and they want to see Eric Uzukama in the Deebo Samuel's role. They go into with ideas of things that they want to discover and figure out. And to me, if you're looking at offensively, what I need to discover and figure out, what's left is, do I have any tight ends that are salvageable? Can I use any of these guys?
But I think
or do I need to just?
Well, and I think they do, and I'm going to go back. I'm going to say this and then duck, because I know it's not
salvageable. Who's salvageable?
Durham Smite's a very reliable short range.
I'm talking about everybody other than Durham. Okay, I'm talking about.
I think there's something, and then I hate to like lean toward Beasley's side here. I think there's something with the kid Julian Hill, the rookie from Campbell. I think it is. I think there's something there. I think I'm liking him better than I'm liking Elijah Higgins, to be very honest with you.
I mean, are we talking sponge-worthy, likable, or practice squad development?
I don't know if is making the 53-man roster as the last tight end is sponge-worthy, but if that's your definition, then yeah, maybe. And can we please? This is for me. The Eric Ezukama's Deebo Samuel for me is like, as was it Chad Johnson used to say, "Child, please." I mean,
I'm just saying that type of play, because we're not going to run those type of plays with Tyreek. He's just way too valuable for him to have that kind of contact.
The end around, absolutely, they're going to run. He ran an end around and a jet sweep. Like, they're not going to run end around with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, really? I'm going to say, okay, let's go back to the important question here based on Skyler's performance. Forget what you think about McMahon. No, actually, let me rephrase it. Do you think that the race is back on based on his very, very efficient performance today? Or do you think that he was given his opportunity? And then Mike White's going to get most of the snaps 6 weeks after Tua plays, and it's still Mike White's job.
I think I don't know what to think. I think here's what I think. He tweeted me this on because I said I'm confused about this whole situation because I thought the battle was over. Then we see Skyler get his opportunity. I think Skyler was impressive. You know, I lean towards Skyler. However, I will say this. I think his lack of practices the last 2 weeks kind of simulates and replicates what a backup quarterback has to do. He's got to come in, very limited practice reps, go in cold and figure it out and make something happen. Well, that was pretty impressive if that's what happened. And I like that. So now this week, I'm going into practice and say, Skyler, you get all these reps. Mike, you sit it down, you watch. And then I'm going to throw Mike White in the game and see what happens. And if we're going to be fair about this situation.
Yeah, no, I still think it's Mike White's job. I will say that Skyler, the way he played today, certainly made his case to give the coaches something to think about, without question. Okay, let's move on to the other star of the game, obviously, Salvon Ahmed. And there's the part that sucked for Salvon Ahmed. Not that it matters because it's a preseason game, but the dude was at 101 yards, runs the ball, loses 2 yards. They give him the ball again. He stopped for no gain. That was his last carry, so he finished with 99 yards. Okay, not the end of the world, but still. Wound up with, I think it's 131 total yards. Had the 65-yard touchdown catch. And talk about guys making a case for I need to be on this roster, especially now if you combine that with Devon Achane leaving the game with what McDaniel confirmed, as we saw, with a shoulder injury, because you saw the replay and he kind of walked off the field with a shoulder hanging a little bit after he was slammed to the ground there. So did Salvon Ahmed earn a spot on the roster today?
I'm not going to be a hypocrite because I had Salvon off the roster and kept Myles Gaskin on because Myles adds so much. If Achane is sidelined, then that makes Salvon way more important than Myles Gaskin. So I'd have to reverse course here. What I will say about Salvon is, and you know this, I'm always impressed when the pads are off. When the pads come on, it's just not for me. And today was a performance where he showed all this, I'm soft, I can't be a physical back. No, he silenced me. And really, I've always had this mentality that comes from the Necromonger clan of Pitch Black, and I can't remember what the real name, but of the movie. But you keep what you kill. If you take it, it's yours. And he took it. He took the spot on the 53. Clearly, I think everybody in the NFL looks at Salvon and says, there's something there. There's some talent there. And I fear, like, I am cutting the guy that I don't fear is going to get claimed. And right now, unfortunately for Myles Gaskin, that he falls into that category. I don't fear that he's going to get claimed by somebody, so I'm going to cut him. Salvon always just teases me. Well, he finally delivered. And what you fans saw in an exhibition game today, we see all the time in non-padded practices. He's electric. And he showed you that at times in instances last season and the seasons before that. But there's something there.
He always has those moments. Go ahead.
He reminded me that there's something there. Now, Devon Achane, that's your second rookie with a shoulder issue. And Robert Jones went down. That's another guy who's competing for one of those back-end roster spots. Mm-hmm. Don't know exactly what that injury is. I am starting to feel, and this is not like hyper paranoid, because I'm generally not that guy when it comes to injuries. there's a lot of injuries happening here, a lot, and it's kind of more than the usual amount of injuries to me for an exhibition game. You shouldn't be losing 3-4 players per game. If we're going to keep going at this rate, we're going to be on the back end of the roster in December really quickly. And as you know, I'm very concerned about the back end of the roster. Like, it's a problem.
Okay, well, we're not gonna do this without talking about my guy Chris Brooks. I know you gave me a hard time at one point via text when I believe your suggestion is he missed a blocking
He
assignment.
did.
Except this was a play.
Yeah.
There was a
Yes.
jailhouse break. There were like 3 guys coming at Skyler, and the 2 big guys wound up getting the sack or the forced incompletion. I don't remember which. So, okay, maybe there was another play where Brooks bobbled a pitch and he kind of disrupted the play, gained only 2 yards. But then after that, he picked it up, and then he was the guy that we've seen. And it's like, he runs hard and he's not afraid to lower his shoulder, and I'm going to initiate the contact if you don't want to do it. And
I'm not gonna lie to you. I like it. I do like it. I remember you telling me in OTAs, and I was like, really? And then we didn't see him for weeks at training camp. Then he has that 95-yard run day. And from then I paid attention. And I gotta admit, practice squad, especially, I think he's got the physicality to do some of that Alec Ingold stuff. So you can have him on the practice squad and have him work some fullback reps. Have him serve as the backup fullback on drills.
yeah,
I know. Yeah, you're like
sure.
you're turning your nose up at.
Yeah,
Do you want a job in the 53 or not?
That's exactly what I'm doing. I would make the argument that if the idea is to cut and resign to the practice squad, you got more of a danger of losing Chris Brooks than you do Myles Gaskin. All due respect to Myles Gaskin. Come on, man. Really?
Are
Myles
you crazy? You know how
Myles
many backs
Gaskin
are out
is
there?
a small. Hold on. Myles Gaskin is a smaller running back with limited athleticism, and there's only so much he can do. Chris Brooks is a bigger back, with some intriguing potential where you don't know what he's going to become in the NFL because he hasn't been in the NFL for 4 years. So if
He's been in college for 5 years and he wasn't much. I'm not downplaying what he is or what he can be or what he can do, but Myles Gaskin knows your playbook. He knows your offense. He's been a starter in the NFL for 2 years.
That's not what the conversation was. I said I think there's a greater danger of Chris Brooks being claimed off waivers at final cut time if he doesn't make the roster than Myles Gaskin. That's the point I'm making. Now, if we're arguing who's better to elevate from the practice squad, Myles Gaskin because he knows the playbook so well, or Chris Brooks, I still say to me it's Chris Brooks because of the higher ceiling. And you're shaking your head and you can disagree. That's fine. We're allowed.
I'm not worried about waiving anybody on this roster. I'm not. If you want to claim them, claim them. I'm good.
Okay.
I'm more focused on claiming 5 guys from somebody else's roster than sitting here stressing about who's going to claim Chris Brooks. I'll get another go around.
5 guys on the roster. They're not claiming 5 guys on the roster. You know, the last time they claimed 5 guys on the roster was 2017. Do you remember what a circus show that was in terms of the roster?
Yeah, but they played those guys. They put them in the game.
That's because they had nobody on that roster. Remember, that was the purge, the quote unquote tank for Tua thing. 2020, 2019, which was the tank for Tua, where they basically, that roster was turned over all the time. So,
okay, that's great. And you know who also turned over the roster all the time? Bill Parcells. And I respected that. And it keeps guys hungry, keeps guys driven. You keep testing out guys. You never know when you're going to find a Zach Sealer. You absolutely never. You never know when you're going to find Elijah Campbell. You do not know.
Once every 5 years, that's when you find those guys. Sorry.
You're right.
Hey,
but
I mean, you don't churn over a roster for the sake of it. You don't churn over a roster if you have a really, really good roster.
Thank you. That's my point. And they don't have a really, really good roster.
Tell
me the position. Name me the position that you're comfortable with their depth.
No.
Name them.
Okay. Omar, this should be a conversation for the next podcast we do when we don't have a game. Let's go back to the game here, see what else we can. defensive effort, I'll give you a couple of things that stood out to me. And I know it was against the Houston backups in the second half, but the newcomer, Perry Nickerson, I saw him tight coverage like crazy, breaking up passes all the way. Very impressive. I'll give you another one. Eli Apple, also very good coverage. And if we came in with him and Noah Benogany still in a battle for that starting job opposite Xavier Howard, to me, I'd say right now it's a pretty clear choice that it needs to be Eli Apple.
You know how I feel about Noah right now. I've lost confidence.
Wow.
So I'm not
turned on Noah.
I don't do me like that. You know,
Hater.
I have trust issues, and Noah has made my trust issues flare up again.
Okay.
And I know who I am. I can't trust you. And
I'll give you.
I'm not comfortable.
Okay, there were two plays I noticed with him, one good, one bad. And the one good was he had the edge. It was like a running player, either or a quick wide receiver screen, and he kept the guy from going outside, and it forced him inside, and then him and Channing Tittle made the tackle. That was really good work. And then he gave up a third down completion to Robert Woods when he beat him with an outside move. And again, Robert Woods is one of the better route runners in the NFL, and the coverage wasn't great.
Yeah,
right?
But how many times have we not seen great coverage? I mean, have we not seen Noah be in position and still not make the play? Sorry, these are my trust issues. They don't go anywhere. Everybody has to deal with them. Like it's just who I am.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing that I wanted to point out is I watched a lot of David Long today, and while there were good plays,
Yeah.
there are also inconsistent plays. And I'm not saying that he's a problem, because hell, Jerome Baker didn't do anything. And to be honest with you, and I thought about this for the past couple of days, have you noticed Jerome Baker at practice? Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I don't, that's a very, very good question, but I'm not noticing anything bad either.
Yeah, I didn't say I noticed anything bad.
Yeah,
I'm not noticing.
but it's not looking like a very linebacker-centric scheme.
They gotta make plays.
No, I understand that, but if you look at Vic Fangio's history, the linebackers who tend to make the Pro Bowl under him are outside linebackers, not inside.
Okay, that's cool and good, but the inside linebackers, they gotta do something.
No,
I'm not saying this is good, bad, evil. All I'm saying is for a month we've watched practices, and I don't think either one of us has noticed or mentioned Jerome Baker for a month.
That's true.
I don't know if that's a good or bad thing.
He's not getting embarrassed on the field. I will say this about David Long. He had like 2 back-to-back tackles on runs, one of which, I mean, he shot through a hole at the line of scrimmage and dropped the guy for a 3-yard loss. That was very good. Speaking of run defense, I'm going to throw your guy a bone, and you'll be happy about this. Mitchell Agude had one series that was beautiful. And this is a guy we've noticed for his pass rushing. And then he had 2 plays where he came around from the back, tackled Mike Boone from behind. And then on 3rd and 1, tight end came right at him. He basically kind of jumped over him, made the tackle for no gain, 4th down punt. I mean, talk about answering the questions that kind of remained about you. What kind of a run stopper would you be? I mean, that was good work by him.
You know who was also a good tackler?
Who's that?
Tua Tagovailoa.
Yeah, I'm sure that Mike McDaniel really wants to see Tua get down on his knees to throw a shoulder at the legs of Denzel Perryman after the pick.
Tua got some contact today, and so he took a hit, rolled out of the hit, head didn't hit the turf, so jiu-jitsu might be working.
Jiu-jitsu works.
The jiu-jitsu works. Is it muscle memory yet? No.
All problem solved. The jiu-jitsu works. I have a better solution. You throw a pick, get the hell out of the way, please. Unless it's a game-deciding situation.
Hey, you got to save 7 points, man. Your team doesn't respect you if you don't do that.
Dan Marino.
Another play.
Hold on, Omar. Time out. See Marino, Dan, and see highlights of him after he threw picks. He basically, no offense, would turn around and make a sprint to the sideline. And there was not one of his teammates who would ever say peep to him, because they knew wasn't what he was there for. And I get that teammates respect it when like Ryan Fitzpatrick goes out and it goes as a lead blocker and throws his body in front of a guy. That's all great and dandy. But the other side of it is know your role.
True, fair, touche. I'll allow it. Another guy I want to give a little praise to is I've been watching special teams closely. I'm doing my Chris Perkins now because for those who don't know, Chris Perkins, one of my former colleagues at the Sun Sentinel, he's a big special teams guy. He's obsessed with special teams, watches special teams. He's our special teams guru. I'm trying to do my part. And Garrett Nelson, I might keep you on my 53 just for special teams. And not gonna lie, I was impressed. And this is a perfect illustration to players. And I did see Troy Williams working as a gunner, which was something unique and new. Still not on defense. So I have no idea what to make of that. But Garrett Nelson, there needs to be an example made of a guy who is going to bust his you-know-whats and do it all for the team on special teams and make this team. And to me, that's Garrett Nelson. I don't even know what he plays in a real position.
Come on.
But if you're going to be, he's an outside linebacker. I know.
Okay, there you go. Come on, thank you.
But if you're going to play the way that you play today on special teams, you have my respect, sir. Anything else? Defense, 32 rushing yards. You put any stock into that for the Houston Texans?
Yeah, because they're not a bad running team. They were a decent running team last year with Damon Pierce, but it looked to me like they were focusing a lot more on the passing game with CJ Stroud, who didn't floor me. I mean, had some nice throw. He had a really, really pretty throw early on a play where Cater was the one who gave up the completion on a rollout, but the coverage actually was good. And on the rollout, he threw a beautiful throw over the linebacker. That was really nice. No, I don't put a ton of stock in it because, again, I think Houston to me looked like they wanted to work on the passing game. Garrett Nelson's a guy who, to me, every time I watch him, he has shown up. And of course, speaking of the special teams, 43-yard kickoff return given up again. It's like, oh my God, this is like last year. Like every game, there's one really bad special teams play. Man, oh man. What else stood out? I had something else in my mind that stood out. Very interesting that the defense played as well as it did with no sack, no takeaway.
Very basic, very vanilla.
Yeah, but they completely shut down that Houston offense, which...
Yeah, for Dolphin fans who think like this is what our defense looks like, no, this is what your vanilla defense looks like. This is Vic Fangio not trying anything. And I'm impressed. I watched them struggle with tight ends during the week, and then obviously tight end coverage wasn't an issue today, but you know, it's CJ Stroud and Davis Mills. Like, I'm not exactly sure what you want me to do with that.
Well, I think CJ Stroud, I think, is going to become a good quarterback. I'm of the opinion I liked him better coming into the draft than Bryce Young, to be very honest, but what the hell do I know? I want to throw this one out because this is for you. I'm doing a lot of things for you today, Omar. I don't know. I'm feeling very generous. First play on defense, first and go from the 7. Dolphins line up with 4 defensive linemen. And who is playing at the right defensive end spot with his hand on the ground? Emmanuel Agba. Oh, I know Omar's going, oh. You have the floor. Nothing else yet?
I don't know.
You're speechless.
Like, yeah, I don't know. I'm just watching that. If it answer this question for me, if Emmanuel Agba is traded within the next 3 weeks, would you be surprised?
Not in the remotest, and I think that might be the best possible scenario for him, for the Dolphins, to be perfectly honest with you. And then most of the rest of the snaps, he was back in the stand-up position.
Doing nothing.
Doing not a whole lot. Didn't notice Jalen Phillips today, even after he'd been balling in practice like crazy. Bradley Chubb had a good pressure on that first drive that started at the 7-yard line. That caused the incompletion on 3rd down, and then on 4th down, there was a guy open. Don't know if the tackle would have been made before he got into the end zone or no, but it was like a really bad throw by Stroud that killed that drive, and that's pretty much the only time Houston's offense even remotely threatened to get points on the board.
So let me ask you this question.
Go ahead.
Did anybody do anything today that made you change your mind about where they are and where their standing is on the 53?
Well, Savon Ahmed certainly gave me reason for a major pause here. And that combined with A-Chain with a shoulder injury, depending on how bad it is.
Yeah, back without a shoulder is not a good thing.
No.
Just like a cornerback without a shoulder. No, can't do it. Can't do it.
Probably even worse for a running back.
Yeah.
He's one. I wouldn't say Skylar, because to me, Skylar was always on the roster. There's never been any debate in my mind whatsoever, not even for a millisecond, that the Dolphins would keep 3 quarterbacks.
What about River Craycraft?
The rule. Yeah. Oh, which reminds me, I'm glad you brought him up. I did not like that one play. Robbie Chosen was targeted once. Now I will say, and TV announcers were very quick to point out, like, Chosen's got to catch that ball. Well, it's a bad throw. It's a slant where he's completely open. It's a clear lane. Doesn't have to be thrown anywhere other than between the 3 and the 3. He's only got one number. Like right at the 3, it's a fast ball that was really high. Could he have caught it? Absolutely. Should he have caught it?
Probably.
Yeah, but let's not pretend it's not a bad throw that was made a lot tougher than it should have been. But when it's your only target in the game and you don't come down with a very makeable catch, not good. And then River Craycraft had
You putting them off? You putting them off?
And I hate to be the guy who overreaction Saturday night would be, I think Craycraft may have jumped ahead of him.
Yeah. You know what? I brought him up because he's savvy. River Craycraft. He's savvy.
Special teams guy, can return punts. McDaniel loves him. Dependable. You know what he is.
He's definitely a guy I want on my team. I just don't feel like I have to have him on my 53. And no disrespect to anybody who makes my practice squad or who I target for practice squad. That means you're still an NFL player. It just means I have greater, bigger, better aspirations for my 53-man roster than I think a lot of Dolphin fans. Right now, you probably got 5 guys that you're going to probably put on IR day 2 of the 53-man roster, which gives me 5 opportunities to claim a guy. Somebody, anybody, scream. I got so many issues on my offensive line. I got so many issues and needs and defensive line, linebacker, secondary, safety. I need every position except for quarterback and running back. Okay. And I might claim a quarterback.
Okay, but
I might.
Whoa. Okay.
Oh yeah.
Now with you on there. As somebody pointed out in one of the comments, and sorry, I don't mean to turn my back on you, but I'm going to. You can't have. It's kind of unrealistic to have starters or former starters everywhere on your 2 deep. It just doesn't work like that.
I didn't say I wanted starters or former starters. I need guys who can help. I need Neville Hewitts.
Okay, but for example, Duke Riley as a backup inside linebacker. Are we not agreeing that's solid? 1.
What happens when 2 go down? You're toast. Okay. You're dog Duke.
To me, well, this is cool. So you're not back on there. Okay, we're gonna have to wrap this up very quickly. That's okay. Let's
close it out.
Yeah, hold that thought for next time. We're on YouTube, All Dolphins Podcast. Subscribe, please. Also, wherever you get your audio podcast, Fans for Sports Network, under Miami Dolphins Insider. We're definitely doing this again on Monday, maybe before then, perhaps.
We'll be back tomorrow.
See you tomorrow. There you go. See you tomorrow. Have a good one, Omar.